Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's dive straight into today's first story. Now today's first story comes from Forever Torn Apart, who says, I caught my mum cheating and she's trying to convince me my dad knows. I'm female 17 and until a couple of days ago, I thought I lived in the perfect family, raised by my two loving parents, early 40s. My dad is an engineer who has been traveling a lot for the past year, and my mum is in healthcare, taking shifts in different times of the day. My laptop broke down and I asked to use my mum's laptop to finish a school project. When I was working, I saw a couple of WhatsApp web notifications pop up with sexual messages. I tried not to pay attention until I realized these were from Pete and not from Dad. I could not believe my eyes and I felt like throwing the laptop in the trash and pretending I never saw it. After I collected my thoughts, I went back to the chat and from what I can see, they met at least 4 or 5 times, starting just a couple of months after my dad began traveling. I took photos of the chat history and went to my room trying to process. I couldn't even finish my homework. From the messages, they were supposed to meet tonight and lo and behold, just a half an hour before the meeting time, she passed by my room to let me know she's going to work. The next day, I gathered my courage to confront her. I think she knew that I discovered her because the new chat messages had been read by me, and I think I left the chat tab open before returning her laptop. I told her I knew what she was doing and that it was wrong. She sat me down and tried to calm me, but I told her no way I would be calm and she said I would understand once I hear the explanation. She told me that she and Dad agreed to open their marriage shortly after he began traveling. To be honest, I didn't fully comprehend, so she explained what that entailed. She told me it was completely physical and she would never have feelings for anyone other than my dad. The messages I read support this as they were only about sex and that they agreed to only do it if one of them is away. She closed by saying that this is adult stuff agreed between two loving spouses and I should stay out of it. I was dumbfounded and didn't know how to react the whole time. I started reading online about open marriages and this is how I found this subreddit. It was consistent with what she had said, but it just didn't make sense to me. I don't believe my dad would agree to this as his views are generally more conservative. Also, when he's away, he's more present with us than her as he video chats with us or plays online games with my two brothers almost daily. In yesterday's call, I asked him why he has to travel a lot and he said this is hard, but it is necessary to secure college money for me and my brothers. He assured me that it will change soon. I asked him how can he bear being away from his wife for almost half of a year. He said since their relationship foundation is strong, temporary separation only causes them to miss each other more and value the limited time they have with each other. He asked me if everything is alright and I told him not to worry. I honestly don't know if I should believe her. Should I ask for a proof for the open marriage claim? I'm mortified to tell my dad, but is that my only option to confirm? I don't want our perfect family to be torn apart, but would it be fair to Dad to keep this secret? I've been crying non-stop since this revelation and don't know what to do. Now, I don't know how easy this would be because I couldn't imagine having to deal with something like this at your age, 17 years old, and having to deal with, a parent's infidelity. Or should I say potential infidelity, but I kind of feel like maybe just telling your dad, because if it's an open relationship, then he's going to say, oh yeah, okay, and just confirm it. I know it's going to be probably incredibly embarrassing from both of your sides, but at least you will have the truth out of it and your dad will get his truth as well if it's not an open relationship. Or maybe even just saying to your mum, look, I'm going to confirm this with Dad because I need to know myself and then see her reaction to it. But I just want to say I'm sorry that you're having to deal with this, but Bittercupo Joe says, tell your dad, it might be embarrassing for him, but if it is an open marriage, they fucked this up by not being discreet enough. If it's not, he needs to know, and if it is, there's a good chance that your dad already knows that your mum fucked up by being indiscreet. If he doesn't know that, then they're not communicating the way that they should in an open marriage. A kid finding out this way should be DEFCON 1 incident, and your dad should already have been told by your mum. Sin says call her out. If this was me, I would say it like this. Understand if this is how it is, that is none of my business, but I want Dad here to tell me the same also. If he confirms what you're telling me, I'll delete everything and act as if nothing has changed. A reaction will tell you before you even have to go further. P.S. If you have a trusted friend that will keep it to themselves or another safe place, then keep this there, as it's not hard for a parent to take your phone. Blonde says tell your dad because this is not a secret that a child should be responsible for keeping. He may well back up your mum's story, but he may not. This is not your situation to hide, not your responsibility to carry. Tell your dad. And Throwaway says I would call her bluff. Tell your mum to call your dad to talk about that open marriage, and if she doesn't, you tell your dad what you know. If she's telling the truth, she will do so no problem. If she is lying, she will make up some excuse as to why she can't call him. And one more from New in the NW says swinger with teenagers here. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of this. Cheating or open, this is not something you should have to be dealing with. Two most likely scenarios, although there are many other possibilities. You have an open relationship and he'll confirm it for you. Or she's cheating, and that discovery may blow things up. Maybe not. If they have an open relationship, let it go and try to forget you know. It's their personal life and not your business. People that swing or have open marriages usually have a strong relationship. It takes a lot of trust and communication to navigate it. It does not mean your parents are unhappy. I'm happier than I've ever been in my marriage since we become swingers. It's a hard thing to grasp for people who aren't in this lifestyle. If she's cheating, I'm very sorry. He may or may not know. If he doesn't, things will probably be rough. If he does, maybe less rough, or it may just bring things to a head. Only you could decide if you can talk to your dad about it. If they are open, she will have told him to expect a conversation from you. Since she didn't encourage you to talk to your dad, I'm leaning towards the second option. And I kind of feel like it will be going towards that second option as well, but I really hope it doesn't for OP's sake. But the update says, I thought this would be a good time to update you about how the situation progressed, but it'd be a long post. Reading through your responses, there are a lot of people recommending to tell my dad and others to keep myself out or talk it out with mum. It took me a lot of time to think and decide that I want to somehow bring it up with my dad, but that I wanted to wait to do it in person. His next home visit was in 5 days after the original incident. While I was waiting for that, I was really uncomfortable with my mum, was thinking twice about any move she makes. She tried to play it cool, open conversations or suggest going out, but I just tried to avoid her. Even if my dad did know, was subconsciously treating her in a cold manner. This might have contributed to what would happen next. On the night before my father's arrival, it seems mum broke down. She came into my room when I was about to sleep and asked if we can talk. She started to talk about generic things and how hard it was for her to be almost a single mum for the past year with 2 teenage boys and thanked me for helping her out with that. Now I started to see her tear up while bringing up that she might not have been completely honest about the open relationship thing. Long story short, according to her, she suggested to Dad a while ago to open the marriage, but he didn't give her a definite answer. Rather that he will think about it and get back to her. She said that she asked to revisit, but he keeps changing the subject. So, no agreement from my dad. That was clearly established. Now at least I know what to expect when I approach my dad. By this time, she's completely sobbing and trying to guilt trip me about the consequences of disclosing the whole information to him. I felt sorry for her and told her the right thing to do was to come clean with him, but she said she doesn't have the courage to do it. I said that I will do it if she doesn't. She says she'll think about it, and we both went to bed. Not that I could get any sleep that night after this. My dad arrived the next afternoon. Early that morning, my mum sent in the family chat that she had to take an emergency shift, won't be back until the evening, and apologized profoundly. In the private chat, I told her what the hell she's doing, and she said she's not ready to tell him and needs more time to find the courage. I told her I don't think I can hold it and act normal around him, so he most likely will find out from me if she doesn't do it tonight. She sent several crying emojis, then gave me the go-ahead to talk to him and told me to update her if it is safe for her to come back home after I talk to Dad. I don't know what she meant, as my dad was never the violent type. Over dinner, my dad was visibly displeased as my mum never takes shifts during his arrival. When we were alone after having a lot of small talks, he was telling me that one of his co-workers is getting married next week, so he'll try to stay around to attend that. I used this as a transition and told him that I came across the term open marriage. I told him after hearing and reading about it. I asked Mum what she thinks of it, and Mum told me it would be ideal for her situation, and asked him about what he thought about it. He was taken by surprise. He said he doesn't believe in polygamy, and another term I just learned, and if a couple feel the need for it, they should address the issue that makes them feel that way. And if this issue cannot be resolved, then polygamy would not be the answer. I asked if Mum asked him for an open marriage. He said yes, but that he refused on the spot. After that, he promised her that he'll ask to take a local position, kind of a demotion for him, as he didn't know this is how she felt, especially since he didn't take this job in the first place until she was okay with him traveling. He was actually just approved to move back to our city and will start the new job after the new year. He was planning to surprise my mum with the news. I asked him when was the first time they talked about this open marriage proposal, and he assured that it was only one talk that happened around 5 months ago. This is definitely after the time my mum first met Pete. He started to pressure me about what's going on, but I was able to get out of the conversation as I needed some time to make up the two sides of the story. By looking at the messages, dates, apparently my mum started seeing this guy, not sure if they had sex initially or not, and asked to open the marriage to give her legitimacy to fuck him. When my dad refused, she did it anyway. I was boiling and couldn't think straight. I messaged her to please come home and that everything is fine. Then I messaged Dad screenshots of her conversation with Pete. Then I came here to write this update. I really don't care what happens next and won't write another update. Whether they separate or not, it isn't important to me anymore, as I know life won't get back to what it was anyway. The important thing is that I made peace with me carrying this burden. Oh, it's made me feel ill what OP has had to go through, and as I say again, at her age, a mum telling her that, you can tell Dad that I've been cheating on him, and then you can tell me it's all clear and then I can come home. I mean, what the hell is that about? That's absolutely awful. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Material Kiwi 1561, who says, am I the arsehole for calling the police on my mother-in-law? I, 28 female, got married to my husband, 34 male, a week ago. We got engaged about a year ago, and when I got engaged, my mother gave me a pair of earrings, which she said every woman for generations in our family has worn to their weddings. They're 4-carat dangling earrings, and they're worth a lot. I felt very honored to be given them, and it made me feel closer to my grandmother, who had died 2 months prior. About 3 months ago after that, I went wedding dress shopping with my mother, my sister, and my fiance's mother. I brought all the jewelry that I would be wearing to my wedding to see how they matched the dresses. When I put the jewelry on, my mother-in-law kept going on about how gorgeous the earrings were. My mother explained the story and how they were a family heirloom passed down generations. I found the dress of my dreams and bought it. On the day of my wedding, I had everything ready in my room. My wedding dress, my flowers, my shoes, my makeup, and my jewelry. I was in there with my soon-to-be mother-in-law. I then needed to go to the toilet, and when I came back, my mother-in-law was gone. I wasn't sure what happened, but I just thought she maybe got called away to do something. I then noticed my earrings were gone. I knew straight away that she had taken them. I found her and confronted her, and she said she didn't take them. I asked if I could look through her bag, and she said no and gripped onto it. I said that if she didn't let me look, I would call the police, which I then did, as she still wouldn't let me look. The police arrived and searched her, and the earrings were found in her bag. They were returned to me, and they asked if I wanted to press charges. I wanted to talk to my fiancé first, and he said he would support me if I wanted to. I didn't want to decide in that moment, so I just ignored it and had a great night. That was a week ago, and ever since then I've been getting loads of threatening messages and calls from my husband's side of the family. My mother-in-law had been sending me extremely hateful texts, and I think I want to press charges, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Always press charges. Let's put it this way, she knew the story behind these earrings, she knew they were an heirloom. She decided to attempt to steal them and get away with it. When she got caught, she didn't apologize, she didn't show no remorse for what she had done or anything. Not that would have made any difference, but to see remorse from her was one thing. But instead, she continued to send you extremely hateful texts. likely turn the husband's side of the family against you. This person is a thief. What value are they going to add to your life? Press charges. But Crystal Queen says, not the arsehole. Mother-in-law is a thief that tried to make off with your heirloom earrings. Fuck that. Press charges and be done with her. Ender Ditto says, not the arsehole. Something to consider. If you don't press charges, she/they will pretend it never happened after a short time. Once she thinks she got away with it, she and the people harassing you will start saying you made up the story of her getting caught stealing. I've dealt with people like this. Good luck. Edit. Forgot to mention the harassment threatening messages need to be reported as well. Lady Caldana says, not the arsehole. The fact that she's continuing to give you grief despite the fact she was caught red-handed would definitely have me pressing charges. She could have wound her neck in and had the decency to be silently ashamed of herself. Now she can pay the price. PJWY says, not the arsehole. They say when people show you who they are, believe them. She has shown you that she is a liar, a thief, and that she isn't afraid to manipulate people by playing the victim card. It sounds like your husband, congratulations, is on your side with this. Let him lay down the law, and if she doesn't apologize, take it from there. Beware if any time limits for pressing charges. And this one was just a not the arsehole all over. But what do you guys make of this? I'm always blown away by people's behavior and think, I'm going to try and steal those earrings and get away with them. Obviously being it mother-in-law because she was the only one in the room at the time. I mean, holy shit. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Dystopian Family, who says, am I the arsehole for voicing unhappiness about my brother getting half of the inheritance? My older brother and I never really had any sort of relationship. He had his own life when he was pretty young. He married young and our family, parents and I, barely kept in contact with him. There were no disagreements, fights, etc. He didn't cut us off, but never made any attempts to keep in contact and always rejected any invitations for family meals, etc. He only hinted a few times that his wife didn't like our family too much. The only time we saw his kid in person was out at a shopping mall by chance. So over the past few years, my mum's health has worsened, requiring surgery and extra care. I got my folks to move in with myself and my wife as it would be easier on them, along with getting professional care services in the daytime. I've always updated my brother from time to time about the situation, but he never visited in person and has only sent the odd fruit basket here and there. Recently, I shared with my parents that we were looking to sell our current house to finance and upgrade to a bigger house in a better area. My dad stopped me and said there was no need to, as they were able to finance that as they were selling off some properties they had. My parents were not wealthy. They were middle-class folks who bought some properties while they were dirt cheap. My parents spoke a bit about their plans and said my brother would be receiving half too. I honestly got pissed off and questioned their decision given his utter lack of existence in the past 20 years. My parents said at the end of the day, he is still their son and it is only fair to do so. I said that by giving him half, I'm put at a disadvantage to him given what I've done over the past few years. I told them that I didn't care about his half of the inheritance and asked them to consider donating his half away. I found it extremely insulting at the end of the day, valued the same as my brother. One could say value goes beyond monetary items, but I feel the actions speak louder than words. My wife chided me for being so confrontational about it, but I don't know, man, this feels ridiculous. Am I the arsehole? But we're going to start off with Someday Wonderful, who says, I'm going to say no one's an arsehole here. My first, I believe. Hope he doesn't want the cash for himself and just felt that a brother who is basically no contact instead of active in the family doesn't deserve to be treated as family. Understandable feeling. Parents can do and should do whatever they want with their cash, and OP needs to realize that as parents it rarely matters what your child does or doesn't do, we will look out for and help and try to do right by them. OP's wife gets a shout out for calling husband out in his behavior. We have a good woman there. Had this been an issue of wanting it all, then without a doubt I'll tell you to shut the fuck up and stop being an arsehole. However, just airing your feelings doesn't make you an arsehole, it makes you human. You have heard their reasons which they do not owe you, and you've aired your piece. Drop it. Civilita says, no one's an arsehole here. As someone who's the primary carer for my parents, I 100% understand the situation and do think your feelings are normal. However, at the end of the day, the property is your parents and it's up to them to do what they want. If they sold the property and decided to use all the money on themselves, would you be mad? If you're expecting this in return for caring for them, then I would have to say you are the arsehole. OP responded to that saying, if they sold it and spent it all on themselves, that's alright for me. As some comments pointed out, what I'm feeling is resentment towards my brother. Maybe it's unjustified, but many instances of having to send mum to the hospital and informing my brother to get down and see her and being rebuffed by, wow, that sucks, is she okay? Sorry, can't get away from the family, multiple times takes its toll. Multiple times of having to bring my mum to physio/follow-ups. Dad has issues now that prevent him from driving and having to cancel work appointments. Why? Ask brother for a little help to bring them sometimes, and it's always, oh man, I'm sorry, but I can't. Part of me wishes that he just ignored or just said fuck off. It'd make all of this so much easier. His replies, messages reaching out to him like that in a courteous tone, but come up with all sorts of reasons and excuses to keep that distance. So yes, it all boils down to the thought of him getting free money from the sky when he probably viewed my parents as a burden he doesn't want to be involved in. Atala says, not the arsehole, your feelings are very natural. Your parents are acting like fairies, treating you both equally when you haven't been acting the same. It is their money, but the statement they are making to you is pretty unpleasant. The sci-fi guy says, you're the arsehole, it is not your money and not your decision what they decide to do with it. They are right, at the end of the day, he is also their son. And if they want to give him half, that's their decision to make. The fact that you feel him getting half puts you at a disadvantage says you do care about the money more than you care to admit. It sounds like you thought you'd get more than him as a reward for helping your parents. And there was pretty much every verdict on this one particular post, and it was all very, very mixed up. So I'm going to be very interested to know your thoughts on this one. But now I'm going to turn it to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Would you feel resentment if you was in OP's position or not? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being awesome. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.